The question is, what kind of home? Be a house and lot? Will it be a condo? That was the primary reason for an OFW to buy a home in the Philippines. The aspiration to own a home. Pero ngayon kasi, it's an exit plan for, I guess, for the newer generations, newer influx of OFWs. Investment na to, it's like you said earlier, it's a short term, it's really long-term commitment. Long-term talaga tong commitment na to. Pero at the end of the day, yung produkto naman na makukuha mo from committing to paying for this property is something that you can use. Pag-retire mo, pwede mamana, pwede mo ibenta ulit, pwede mo gamitin as collateral sa bank. There's so much value in a real estate investment.
In talking about comparison, pumunta na tayo talaga doon sa comparison. Para sa isang OFW, ano ba yung pwedeng maging advantage and disadvantage of buying a condo versus a house? Ano yung outlook ng Philippine real estate in the next 5 to 10 years? Kasi, well, andun na nga, ang pinakauso ngayon, yung oversupply. Pero,
don't go back home empty-handed. So that's the message at the end. And the way to do that, the way for you to know that you have built something for yourself is to have a home. May it be for investment or for personal use or for whatever purpose. Pero dapat meron.
kamusta? My name is Manong George and I've been here in the UK for over 15 years. Katulad ba kita na isang OFW na nangangarap ng mas magandang buhay? Well, itong podcast ay para sa inyo. Kasi dito sa podcast na to, pag-uusapan natin ang pera in a positive light. Dito kakausap tayo ng mga guest na may magandang diskarte para tulungan tayong umangat sa buhay. Kasi lahat tayong mga nag-abroad, malayo na, pero malayo pa. So again, come and join us here in this podcast, Manifesting with Manong George. Miss Edessa, thank you for joining us today. Well, it's a good day to have you because itong London ngayon, mainit, masaya. Ngayon,
Thank you for having us.
Maraming nangyayari ngayon kasi it's a summer day. Pero dito sa Manifesting with Manong George kasi, we cater to our OFWs, di ba? At isa sa pinaka mainit na topic is always Philippine realty. Kasi syempre, sa ating yun country natin. So gusto natin balikan. But before we dabble into that, sino ba si Miss Edessa?
Nako.
Yan
Sige, siguro I'll start with my professional background kasi I suppose it's more relevant to this to your session today, no. Malalaman lang yung age ko okay lang.
Okay lang, ako rin
No, I started my real estate career way back 2004. So I was project selling for a developer who was offering premier products, no. Well, at the time kasi wala pang international, so parang lahat local selling. Local selling. I got into international sales with another developer in 2011. Doon na yung medyo serious bit ko. 2011. And I stayed in that company for about 10 years.
Right.
10 years. And then 2021, right after, or actually during the pandemic, nag-international naman ako for Robinson's Land.
I see.
But in a different capacity. Now I handle a team.
Yes.
Who is, by the way, here in London.
So
I handle a team. I'm also a real estate broker and have been since 2015.
Wow. So, ang tagal na, no? Ang galing. So, maraming experience na. Pero, ang tanong ko kasi, tayo kasi mga Pinoy, no, we're always geared on to studying something sa university or sa college. Tapos, kung ano ka, katulad ako, di ba, nag-nurse. Every magiging nurse ako. So, wala naman real estate, brokerage, di ba, na course dati.
At the time, yes. At the
Ngayon
time.
siguro
Ngayon meron na. Yes.
Yeah. Pero so, what got you into it? So,
into real estate?
Yes.
At first kasi, no, before real estate, I was into corporate. My stints were all corporate. Tapos I realized that the best way to make money is through a business. But at the time kasi I was young, I was a fresh grad. I did not have the proper capital to start a business. So a friend of mine introduced me to real estate, which at the time in 2004 was very new. Very new. That was the time that there were only a handful of developers were operating in the Philippines. So I figured in my head, sabi ko, you know what? This is like having an employment and also having a business at the same time. So I realized parang, you know what, let's give it a shot. So my first few years was it's a little difficult because, it takes a while for you to to gather network, to be able to know your strengths, to be able to figure out what advocacy you have, to be able to share with your clients. So pero doon na nagsimula yon during that time. And then in between, I went back to corporate just to see, if may pa ba ako dito or not. Pero at the end of the day, way back 2011, na-realize ko na, you know what, I think real estate is free.
Yun talaga ang
Yun
tinawag.
talaga.
Oh, wow.
Yun talaga.
That's great. Kasi, alam mo, I was just, as you mentioned, may advocacy pala in behind that. Pero parang iniisip ko kasi, ang hirap kasi when you talk about advocacy, maraming yan, ako in my field, in what I do, normally meron akong pinagagayahan, meron akong pinaghuhugutan kasi may nauna. Pero yung sa inyo, parang kayo yung mga trailblazers pa noon, early 2000s. Kasi I didn't realize this, no? Kasi I've met a lot of people, lalo na dito sa London na into realty sa Pilipinas, and they would tell me businesses would be 30 years old, 20 years old. And then I didn't realize na, teka lang, 2000s lang pala to. I was thinking they might have been existing in the 1970s, pero hindi pala, no? So, ito, medyo lang. So, what do you think why was there a boom at that time? Ano kaya yung nag-iba sa Pilipinas? Or was it nag-open ba ang Pilipinas?
2004, ako my personal observation is, di ba, nung time ng mga, time ng parents ko, and the time of my grandparents, the only acceptable format, for lack of a better term, of living is house and lot.
That's right.
House and lot.
But
I figured as we progressed as a country, parang urbanization happened.
Yeah.
So everybody was moving into the city because all the opportunities are there. You have education is there, employment, healthcare even is, diba, everything is centered in Metro Manila. It was the area that was being developed. So because of that, there was an opportunity for housing.
Yeah.
Since in Metro Manila, medyo congested na, wala na tayong masyadong available na horizontal properties. So because of that scarcity, everything went up. Hence, pasok condo. Pasok vertical. So itong vertical ngayon, it's no longer like how we perceive housing to be or a condo to be. Dati kasi, pag sinabi mong condo, pang mayaman.
Yes,
condo.
Totoo yan.
Pero ngayon kasi, it's an acceptable acceptable format of residence. Yeah. Diba? Parang na siya ngayon, para tayong Hong Kong, na wherein everything is vertical.
That's true.
Singapore, where everything is vertical. In fact, in Dubai, Qatar, all the residential properties are vertical rather than horizontal. So I think that paved the way for the boom.
Yeah.
Way back in 2004 when we were introducing condominium properties.
Ayun, ang ganda nun kasi maganda yun yung background na maintindihan natin paano ba nag-umpisa yung start niyan. Pero isa pang inevitably kasi syempre ang OFW ang tagal na. Meron 1970s, like I meet people here in the UK na they've been here 1970s. So inevitably umabot na siya dun sa OFW market.
Correct.
No? That's right. And so, ito, mabigat na agad yung tanong ko. OFWs, yan, alam naman natin, lagi yung, they're looking to invest in the motherland. Lahat yan. Kahit naman ako noon, sabi ko nun, actually, mamaya, share ko rin yung parang experience ko with you, no? Pero, meron ba kayong mga stories about OFWs investing in the Philippines? Sige, bigyan mo nga ako ng mga horror stories na...
Horror?
Yan, ganyan.
Well, marami Personally, hindi man marami. But there are stories wherein, because syempre ang real estate is not operated by one developer or one individual. You have a collection of developers and individuals practicing real estate. So at some point, makaka-encounter ka ng individual na hindi puro ang intensyon sa pagtulong sa iyo na mag-invest sa Pilipinas.
Yeah.
So horror stories wise, yes, there are. You will hear of some. I mean, I would be untruthful if I said na, ang linis ng lahat ng transaction natin. Pero in reality, meron talaga. Pero siguro some of the challenges of iba-iba like each developer have their own challenge of whatever it is that they're
Yes.
concerned about with their development. So I leave it at that na iba-iba kasi. Ang ano bang challenges to? You have challenges on delays,
Yes.
challenges on agents who are not truthful and upfront,
Mhm.
challenges in quality,
Mhm.
di ba? So meron yan, but they have their reasons. And when I talk to my clients or may hihingi ng advice, siguro kasi ang tagal ko na sa real estate, it may or may not be the product I'm carrying, pero minsan may humihingi ng advice. It's like ko sinasabi sa kanila, that's the reason why you should do your due diligence.
Yes.
And partner or invest in a company with a good track record, in a reputable, with a good reputation. Kasi at the end of the day, though we may not totally eliminate problems and concerns, at the end of the day, it's how these more reputable developers address the concerns and make an effort to improve their services. So, for me, that's one of the most important considerations in your decision, in a person's decision making whenever they are to purchase a property in the Philippines. Horror stories marami kasi maraming individuals, maraming developer, big and small. Kaya lang we always advise them, you know what, ma'am, sir, do your due diligence, checkin nyo yung developer, maganda ba ang track record nito? Kung hindi, siguro you can set it aside. Kasi with a developer that has a good track record and a good reputation, you more or less scale down the concerns.
Of course. Nako. Oo, kasi alam mo, ito share ko lang kasi
Yes,
para doon sa mga viewers natin and listeners na ako rin dati, so you mentioned kanina 2011 when you started going international. So I think that was the wave when dito sa UK at least we started seeing a lot of, lalo na yung sa mga barrio fiestas, no, na barrio fiestas na ito na yung halimbawa, developer, ganyan. Yan. So, actually, at that time, kumuha rin ako ng condo. And through yung sinabi mo, ang problema is, umusog yung turnover date hanggang sa nalaman namin, mawawala na yung company. It's gonna be dissolved.
Oh no, okay.
So, ang problema namin was, oh my gosh, paano na yung pera, di ba? Yun lagi kasi tapos may emotional investment ka na kasi I think, in selling talaga, ang pinaka-best hook is yung emotions no? Na-imagine mo na, pag umuwi ako, di ba? Meron akong condo. And again, sabi mo nga, dati, ang condo pang mayaman lang. So parang feeling namin, upscale na tayo dito, tumataas ng kaantas ng buhay natin. And then sadly, hindi na ma-turnover. And then parang yun na nga, when we were asking for, can we get our money back? Nagkaroon ng parang, hindi, may admin fee and all that. And then before you know it, ang taas na. So ano ba to? Ano bang gagawin ko? So yun ang naalala ko. And that somehow has struck a chord to me, no? Kasi ang tagal namin talagang, ayoko na, di na uulit sa condo. But I guess it also resonates to not just me, but a lot of people din, no, that have done that. So in that scenario siguro, Miss Idessa, what would you suggest? Ano ba yung meron bang mga batas that would protect an OFW for that? Meron ba tayong ganong laws sa Pilipinas?
There is. In your case kasi, di ba, parang nag-cease yung building.
Yes.
Tama ba?
Tumigil siya na lang. Kasi siya parang if I can remember this right, Tower 1 and then Tower 2. Tower 2 kami kasi nakita na namin yung Tower 1.
1 is buo.
Buo na. So yung Tower 2 tatayo na lang. But that got delayed hanggang sa yun na nga.
I would defer back to the contract that you signed with the developer kasi it may be different for each developer. I don't really know kung sino yung developer, sir, kung sa kayo nag-invest, Manong George, no? Pero like for some developers kasi, they will return the money, pero meron silang mga ini-indicate na administrative fees deducted from the refund money. So that varies from developer to developer. So if there are individuals who have experienced the same as you, I would defer back to the contract that they have signed with.
So yung
with the
contract
individual.
talaga ang kailangan
Yes.
babasahin.
It's
ano?
very important to secure the contract. Kasi minsan tayo minsan kasi pag nabibigyan tayo ng kontrata, marami mahaba babasahin. Minsan tumatagal sa atin eh.
Totoo.
Kasi dahil binabasa. Pero it's I cannot stress how important it is to read over the contract and sign it in a timely manner. Kasi that will protect you in the event that these things happen. Just imagine kung hindi ka nakapirma ng kontrata. Imagine kung wala kayong legal bound, you're not bound legally with a developer. Then, they could easily say na you didn't sign a contract with us.
Yun lang, ano?
Diba? Pero pag pumirma ka ng kontrata, medyo na, you don't even have to understand it fully. Kasi standard naman yun. You can,
Of course.
it's really not very easy to
Yes,
diba, to figure out the
Parang
contents of the
jargon,
contract.
yeah.
Diba? Maraming mga legal terms. Diba? So, the fact na pinirmahan mo yan, ibig sabihin, may protection si developer, may protection ka.
Tama.
So, that's what I would suggest to siguro sa mga taong naka-experience ng tulad ng experience mo.
Galing. Tsaka panahon ngayon, I think Google can help, di ba?
Yes.
AI can help. Marami na pag yung hindi mo maintindihan, di ba? Pwede na. So I think there is that, hindi ko naman sinasabing inert protection, but there are a lot of tools online that you could actually use. But again, due diligence pa rin.
Due diligence at the end of the day.
Or at least ngayon, dahil marami naman na nakakaintindi. So you find a trusted person that could help you understand, no? 'Di ba? Kasi lalo na siguro dahil galing ako sa world ng nurses, kami literally pag namin pagod na kami sa trabaho. Pag yung nagkakaroon pa ng ganyan, pag binasa, wala akong maintindihan. Parang umiikot yung mga letra. So parang I guess that would be the best thing to do. Review the contract, right?
That's the best thing.
All right. So moving on from that though, why would you say, because obviously the realty, why would an OFW invest in Philippine realty or in a condominium in the Philippines? Ano kaya yung mga primary reasons na nakikita nyo? And hihingi rin ako ng personal take mo rin, mama. Kung bakit sa palagay nyo it's a good time to buy?
Well, number one, it's the Filipino dream to own a home. Diba? That's the first thing that we try to accomplish when we are working abroad, and we goal set for ourselves, diba? Is to have a home in the Philippines.
That's right.
Sometimes the question is, what kind of home? Diba? Is it be a house and lot?
Yeah.
Would it be a condo? So that was the primary reason for an OFW to buy a home in the Philippines. The aspiration to own a home. Pero ngayon kasi it's an exit plan. For the newer generations, newer influx of OFWs. It's an exit plan wherein they use and this happens particularly in condominium developments. They use the condominium as a business.
Okay.
They can generate passive income and they can benefit from the value appreciation kasi by the time they retire, probably perhaps 20 years after they have invested or they have done the initial investment, iba na yung presyo from 20 years ago to present day.
Yeah.
So pag binenta nila yon, definitely tenfold na yung kinita nila from the initial purchase. So with that lump sum, they can do so many things diba? When they return back home to the Philippines. Or pwede rin, business in a sense na it's a source of passive income. They purchase a property, once it's completed, they rent it out, and it's like for some, instead of sila yung, personally nag-aabot sila ng pera sa pamilya na sa Pilipinas, they use the earnings of the rental property to provide for their families in the Philippines. So, I suppose iba-ibang perspective or iba-ibang reason for every person or every individual. But those are primarily the reasons why an OFW is to invest back in the Philippines.
Napakaganda nung sinabi mo na I think one thing that if they didn't hear it or i-rephrase ko lang para marinig ng ating mga viewers is that this game is long term.
Correct.
No? Hindi siya yung buy now, earn tomorrow.
Yes.
Hindi talaga ganun.
Correct.
Ano? There's no
It's not.
such thing, right?
Mhm.
I think that's one of the things na minsan now offset, hindi na nakikita. Nakikita kagad yung big picture. Pero they forget that this is like, ano bang normal term sa atin? 15 years? 20 years?
Paano ba? Ang down payment kasi natin, which is the part of the purchase price that does not incur interest. Siguro nasa mga 78 months yan. And you pay for this down payment while the building is being the condo is being built. Yun ang setup ng pre-selling.
Yeah.
And then after the down payment period, that's when the lump of the payment will come in, the 70 to 80%. So this is after 78 months. Yung 78 months, 70 to 80% na yun, you get to stretch that according to how long you want it. Depende rin yan sa capacity mo, financial and all of that. And that's between you and the bank already. So you may stretch it for as long as 15 to 20 years. So the whole process may take up to 25 years, more or less. Pero kasi pagdating mo sa part na iba-bank loan mo na siya, ito turnover na yung property.
Yun.
So in effect, pag tinurnover na sa'yo, pwede mo na siyang ipaupa. Yung ibabayad mo sa bangko, pwede mo kuhanin sa rental mo. So, ang mangyayari niyan, parang ang nangyari niyan is yung tenant mo, yung nagbayad ng bank loan mo.
Yes.
So, in real estate, we call that self-liquidating or self-subsidizing.
Yes. Parang na-offset yan.
Passively.
That's good. I think ito yung magandang maintindihan din ng mga OFW na kung paano talaga. Kasi we just hear condo, pero hindi maintindihan. But in saying that, I want to touch on this. Kasi I think this year and even the last year, ang pinakamaugong was yun nga daw, ang condos daw. Hindi na magandang investment sa Pilipinas. Ano yung term nila? Hindi dilution parang sobrang dami na Oversupply. Yun. Ayun. Alam na.
Maingay
maingay.
Yes.
Yan talaga. I think anybody who's talking about, realty nowadays, lalo na sa Pilipinas condominium, or is it Manila lang? I don't know. Yan ang pinag-uusapan. So, what would be your comment on that? And this is a personal comment, I'd say, para hindi kayo, I mean, this is from a professional but personal comment from you.
I would understand the panic for some people kasi oversupply, oh my gosh, diba? It's no longer good to invest in the Philippines.
Yes.
But we had an opportunity to fly in a speaker from Manila to talk about that topic in particular. The oversupply, short of saying, the oversupply is localized.
Yun.
It's localized. It's not a Metro Manila-wide concern. There are parts of Metro Manila wherein the gaming industry had they have focused their residents in a certain certain parts of Metro Manila. So ito yung mga sila sa gaming. Cut to a few years later, nawala silang lahat. Sabay-sabay. So that left those particular areas flooded with empty units, high vacancy, very low occupancy. Doon ang galing yung term.
Doon ang galing.
Bakit dumami sa area na yun? Bakit dumami ang residences sa area na yun, ang units sa area na yun? You would understand. Kasi at the time na nandito sila, yung gaming na yun, nasa Pilipinas yung particular gaming industry na yun, there was a demand.
Of
course. The demand was real.
Mm-hmm.
And the developers can't help but feel the need.
Cater, yes.
Feel the need of that demand. So, certain developers started building hundreds, if not thousands of units in just concentrated areas of these cities, these localities. Nagkataon umalis silang.
And exodus
naiwan.
Talaga, no?
Exodus ang nangyari. So, naiwan. Siyempre, it can't help but speculators can't help but, notice this it's a phenomenon.
Yes, of course.
Because it used to be fully occupied and now it's
Mag-glare
like a
talaga. Yes.
So the speculators can't help but notice this change. And that's probably why na bansagan nila as oversupply.
Yes.
But I repeat, it is localized.
So dito papasok ulit yung sinabi nyo kanina, due diligence. Wag basta-basta lang. Kasi obviously, I think ang problema rin sa ating OFWs minsan sa amin, we tend not to ask the right questions.
Correct.
We ask the easy questions. Parang yung easy is, alam mo na, nakapost na, magkano ba yan? Gano'ng katagal bayaran? Ganon. Pero we forget, ano ba yung area? Kamusta yung may katabi ba yung ibang building? Anong occupancy rate dyan? Alam mo yun, so if hindi ka talaga nagbasa, hindi ka aabot dun di ba? So, yeah, I think that's very nice. And and just to move on, so let's say I'm interested as an OFW. Kakayanin ko ba talaga? Yun yung unang tanong. And how much savings would you actually say? Or kailangan ba talaga may massive savings to start investing in Philippine realty?
Okay. Siguro, along your, your purchase journey, ang pinaka pag-iipunan mo lang siguro from the get-go is the reservation.
Yes.
Of between 15 to 100,000 depende sa unit type na pipiliin niya. Isang buyer. Kasi from that 50 to 100,000, ang magiging monthly mo niyan is, kunyari pag 1 bedroom, is an amount below 25,000 pesos. So, we encourage our clients to refrain from looking at the purchase price at one go because you don't have to really pay millions at one go. I-spread mo siya over a specific period of time, 7 to 8 months, tapos you can extend that pa with the bank, diba, for another 10 to 15 years. So, ang iisipin lang talaga na isang buyer is, how much can I comfortably dole out each and every month na hindi naman ako magugutom, na hindi ko naman sacrifice yung padala ko sa pamilya ko. So, whatever is left over, yun ang pwede nilang maging, they can commit to that amount to invest in a property back in the Philippines. Itong investment na to, it's like you said earlier, it's not hindi siya short term, it's really long-term commitment.
Yun.
Long-term talaga tong commitment na to. Pero at the end of the day, yung produkto naman na makukuha mo from committing to paying for this property is something that you can use pag-retire mo, pwede mo ipamana, pwede mo ibenta ulit, pwede mong gamitin as collateral sa bangko. So there's so much value in a real estate investment.
Ikaw ba ay nagpapadala ng pera para sa Pilipinas? Kung OFW ka at nagbabayad ka pa ng fees para sa inyong padala, well, let me introduce to you TapTap Send. TapTap Send is free sa padala ninyo, mabilis ang rates at safe ang inyong padala. Ngayon, if you use our code PinoyUK, you get an extra 15 pounds sa inyong unang padala. But wait, hep. Pwede rin gamitin ang aming code ng Pinoy UK kung ikaw ay taga USA, Canada, Australia, Dubai, or UAE, at marami pang iba. So, use our code Pinoy UK at magpadala na sa TapTap Send. Ano pang hinihintay nyo? Tap mo na yan. Ganda. Maganda yung sinabi nyo na yun nga, there's that commitment. It's a commitment. Kailangan maintindihan kasi yun nga when I was young, admittedly, I only saw yung ito na ba ako? Sabi ko gano'n na nung nakita namin yung condo, going back, I think ito na. Yun kagad nakita ko agad 20 years ahead. Nakalimutan ko yung in-between So, ayun, that's very nice. Ms. Edesa, isa itong, may nagtanong kasi sa akin ito, na about confusion about bank loans at saka in-house financing. Tapos andyan, ano ba yung mga requirements yan? Ano ba yung pinagkaibahan? Kasi may nagsasabi na, I think kailangan mag-loan ka. Yan yung actually yung kinatatakot nila yung dulo.
Yung dulo.
Yung balloon payment kung tawagin, di ba? Kasi I think yung isang hindi nila natin naiintindihan is yung first 5 years is the down payment. Hindi yun yung una mong binayaran na medyo slight lump, that might be the slight lump sum might be the reservation fee, right? And then the down payment over 5 years, and then yun na nga yung remaining 70 or 80%. So, can you comment on, ano ba yung confusion doon? Ano ba yung bank loans versus in-house? Yan.
Okay. I guess to simply put it, a bank loan kasi is an external entity. You employ a bank to Upa ka sa kanila para pahiramin ka ng pera.
Yun.
With the bank nga lang, you get, mas tedious yung paperwork.
Of
Mas
course.
marami silang hinihingi simply because they are bound by their own regulations, di ba? Kaya lang, with the bank, you get lower interest rates.
Ayun. So
And
ito may
longer
real
terms.
talk dito, no? Mas mura ang bank
Mas
loans.
mura. And you get longer terms.
Longer
for as long
terms.
as 20 years. While sa in-house financing kasi, it's a service extended by the developer. Hence, it's not really the developer's core business.
Yes.
So that being said, baliktad naman. The interest rates are higher.
Okay.
The interest rates are higher. The terms are shorter. Kaya lang, the documentation is more forgiving.
Mas madali naman.
Mas madali yung mas madali yung documentation na hini. Yung iba, ang ginagawa nila, kunwari hindi pa sila na-approve sa bank loan for whatever reason, diba? Itinatawid nila yung gap in between with in-house financing.
I see.
So, yun ang ginagawa ng iba.
Parang stopgap muna until
Correct.
I see. So yun yung mga I guess the easiest way to look at this is minsan parang hindi doon na lang ako sa mas mura, but in reality kasi minsan there's no one size fits all, kaya yung options are very important, ano.
Yes.
And they should understand kung ano yung, kasi wala rin naman perfect choice.
Correct.
Diba?
Correct.
Kasi either way magbabayad ka.
Yes. And situational, whatever works for you during that time, kasi baka now wala kang readily available na cash, pero at the time of turnover, ang dami mo na palang naipon for your property, so i-cash mo.
Yes.
Or kung hindi naman enough, i-cash mo, tapos i-loan mo yung the rest of it. So, there are so many ways that we can play around with how you want to treat your balance. Could be cash, could be financing. The most important thing is that you coordinate with your property specialist because they can handle you through this process.
Yan. Talking about process, no? Kasi itong next na parang tanong ko is, may mga nagko-comment about hidden charges daw, like the maintenance and costs.
Correct.
Kasi condo to di ba? So, can you tell us more about that? And bakit ba mayroong mga iba pang cost on top of yung sabihin na nating price point niya? Ang isang condo. Bakit ba gano'n?
Okay, so siguro lagay lang natin sa context.
Yes.
No? There is within the purchase period na costs and after the purchase period na gastusin. So within the purchase period, ang costs lang up on top of the, I would say, the purchase price is the closing cost. So that's usually between 5 to 7% of the purchase price, depending on the developer. Like sa amin sa RLC, it's 6%.
Okay.
That's 6% of the purchase price. But with other developers, it's a little bit less, or the others, it's a little bit more. And that closing cost covers all taxation and documentation fees related to transferring the document from the developer to the individual. All developers have that. Lahat may closing costs. Iba-iba lang yung tawag.
Yes.
May miscellaneous fees, closing costs, may iba-iba lang ang tawag. Pero pareho lang yan. It will all cover the same expense. So that's within the purchase period. Tsaka it's not necessarily hidden because it should be a part of your contract and your payment schedule. So nakalatag yan with your monthly amortization, the closing costs, and then the total amount that you need to pay. Yung iba naman, amortization, closing cost sa dulo, and then the amount that you need to pay. So hindi talaga siya hidden. It's just an add-on. Now, after the purchase, when the unit has been handed over to you, ang gastos mo naman dyan is number 1 is the amilyar.
Yes.
Or real property tax. This one, you pay annually. But it's care of the homeowner na.
Yes, sa'yo na yan.
Yes. Second, that I could say is the condominium, the corp dues, the condominium corporation dues.
Yes.
Yun naman, monthly rin yun. But that covers the upkeep of the common areas. So, elevators, security, ano pa?
Ang running
amenities.
Amenities, running cost nung mismong structure ng building.
Yes, so maintenance. So overall, it's the fee that a unit shares to operate the entire condominium development. So yun naman ang cost mo after or post purchase.
Ganda, no? Kasi, ito na nga kasi yan yung isa sa mga sinasabing advantage ng isang bahay over condominium. Kasi daw ang bahay, pag nabili mo na, sa'yo na, ikaw na bahala, wala ka nang badagdagang bayad. Versus sa condo daw, maraming ano. So, in talking about comparison, pumunta na tayo talaga doon sa comparison. Para sa isang OFW, ano ba yung pwedeng maging advantage and disadvantage of buying a condo versus a house, basically?
Good question. Good
Yun talaga
question.
eh.
Kasi marami talagang nagtatanong kung ano bang bibilin ko, bahay ba ako or house and lot. Ako kasi, my take on it is, ang isang OFW naman, hindi naman siya uuwi immediately. Like, if I ask a newly, a bagong punta na OFW dito sa UK, let's say, tanong ko sa kanya, how long do you think you'll be staying here? Sabihin niya probably, mahina na yung 10 years, diba? I'm sure 15, 20 years, 30 years, if not more, yun ang usually naririnig kong time frame that they allow themselves to work abroad before they come back home for retirement. Yung iba nga sagad hanggang retirement. So next question ko, kapag nag-house and lot ka, sinong titira?
Yun.
Pag sinabi niyang, ay walang titira, gusto ko lang na may bahay ako. Okay lang, it's fine because like I said earlier, di ba, house and lot is every Filipino's aspiration to have. Kaya lang, on a practicality side, pag wala ka sa Pilipinas, who will take care of your house and lot? So that poses as a problem to the home buyer. Na sasabihin niya, oo nga, sino nga naman na mag-aalaga? Papatirahin ko yung kamag-anak ko. Okay lang naman. But at the end of the day, pag umuwi sila, parang sila yung nagiging guest dun sa bahay nila. And I remember you asked me earlier of horror stories.
Yes.
More siguro hindi naman horror story, pero yung mga naririnig kong stories are about maintaining the house and lot. It's really, yung mga naririnig ko from mga clients namin OFW, kung paano, yung difficulty nila in maintaining the house and lot while they are away. So yung iba na-occupied na ng kamag-anak na nahihirapan na sila paalisin. Yung iba, parang luma na talaga. That they have to, kailangan na nilang i-demolish at magtayo na naman ng bago. Nang hindi pa nila nagagamit.
Yun.
So, house and lot, in my opinion, you buy that before you retire.
Right before, no?
Before you retire. Right before you hang your hat in. Pero while you're still here, what you want is a property that will earn you income habang nandito. So, condo yun. So, it can be a mix of both condo and house and lot later on. Or gusto mo, condo through and through. Kasi at the end of the day, pag nag-retire ka, ang gusto mo, well, ako, for me ako lang naman, ang gusto ko kasi pag nag-retire na ako, I want to reside in an area wherein bababa lang ako mall na. Yeah. Bababa lang ako simbahan na. Bababa lang ako bangko na. Hindi na ako babiyahe, hindi na ako sasakay ng sasakyan or, tricycle, jeep, whatever, just for you to get to where you want to be. I want convenience because I'll be old na eh. I really don't want the hassle of, having to get in a car or drive myself to places I need to go. So for me, pag nag-retire ako, condo talaga. Yun ang naging motivation ko rin to encourage OFWs to at the very least explore a condominium investment. House and lot is not easier but more manageable to purchase than a condo. Secondly is, let's say talagang gusto talaga ni client ang house and lot.
Yeah.
Gumawa siyang house and lot. Gusto niyang paupa. Pag pinaupa niya yun, syempre yung rental command nun will not be as high as a condominium in the city.
Of course.
Unless you get a house and lot in the city, which will cost you
parang mahal pa sa condo. Wala na yatang affordable.
Which will cost you so
Manila.
much because we have no available lands in the metro.
Totoo.
Pwede sa fringes like Bulacan, Cavite, Laguna. Pero yun lang, hindi siya makakakommand ng mataas na rental.
Kasi yung there's a romantic side of it kasi pag bahay at lupa na yan. Kasi siguro, speaking on my generation, di ba, di naman tayo nagkakalayo na yun lumaki tayo na bahay at lupa talaga yung pinag-uusapan. Ang bahay namin. No? So, yun nga, sinabi, kaya nga, yung gusto mong ibalik yun. Pero, the practicality sake of it, kasi yun nga, nakasabi mo, maintenance, di ba? And even minsan pag may nakakausap ako mga OFW na ganyan, nakakalimutan nila ang bahay may maintenance din.
Yes, that's true.
So,
that's true.
Yun ang nawawala sa usapan.
That's
so,
correct.
I think that's a very good way to put it, and why it would work, di ba? Tsaka yung mga natin nun, yung mga parents natin nun, iba yung pinanggalingan nila. Tapos tayo naman, ngayon, iba na rin yung ipagre-retire natin. No? So I think that's very nice.
Sabi ko lagi sa clients ko, talagang condo. We really advise condominium investments because yun nga, condominium appreciates faster in terms of property values. May passive income, mas madaling i-maintain. Pag condo kasi, kunyari, condo living ka, may sira. Tawag ka lang.
Tama.
Pag meron kang kailangan pabuhat from your unit to the lobby, tawag ka lang. Security, concierge, baka pwede namang pasundo ako dito. Tawag ka lang. Kailangan mo mag-Grab or kailangan mo mag-Uber pala, sorry. Kailangan mo mag-Uber. Diba? They will list down the plate number just to make sure that you're safe. A condo has 24/7 security, much that you're used to here in the UK or in any other country. Amenities mo, elevator right away lang. Pindutin mo lang elevator button, nasa swimming pool ka na, nasa game room, nasa karaoke room. So that all of those conveniences are all found in a condominium development.
Grabe, no?
For all the right reasons talaga.
Naisip ko nga no? Tama yung sinabi mo Kasi unfortunately, we don't really think through that, no? Siguro kasi ang hinihingi mo, hindi, kaya ko naman mag-travel, kaya ko naman Pero yun nga ang practicalities is, teka lang, pag 70 na ako, kaya ko pa ba yun? Gusto ko pa ba yung ganon na setup? Or, paano ba pag yung ako na lang mag-isa sa bahay?
Correct.
Magta-taxi ako or mag-grab or mag-Uber. Pagkasakay mo, teka lang, may nakakaalam ba kung nasan ako? Di ba? Parang gano'n. Or even CCTV. Kasi nakakalimutan. May setup naman ako CCTV. Paano ko nasira yun? Di ba?
May kwento nga ako. I had a client who's American. He's an American pilot. Nung nasa local sales pa ako, he purchased a property for me in Makati, in Greenbelt. For 1 or 2 years na siya tumira. So he's very happy. Cut to, nag-retire na si Sir. Nag-retire na siya. Sabi niya, Dessa, benta mo na yun. Ayoko na sa condo. Gusto ko na sa mas cool na lugar. Tagaytay,
wow.
Hahanap ako doon. Doon ako titira. Hanap siya doon. Nakahanap siya. Doon siya tumira for 2 years. After the second year, tumawag siya sa akin, Dessa, hanap mo nito. Makati. Sige, why? Sige, ganun. I thought you were, very satisfied with your Tagaytay property. Pinasok siya.
Yun lang.
Pinasok siya.
Kasi it's a real thing.
It wasn't a gated community. There was very minimal security. The houses were so far apart that they couldn't really, they don't know what's going on with each other's, di ba?
Wala nang community.
Wala nang sense of community. Tapos no one to watch over them. Plus nahirapan siya because he had to commute from his house to the church or his house to the mall. So he came to realize at the end of the day na parang, you know what? I want to go back to my Makati condo.
Yeah.
So why did I sell it? I'm like, I don't know. Told you
Gusto mo yun
Told you not to sell it. But you did. So anyway, he's back now in his Makati condominium.
In his comfortable life. Pero yun nga I think that puts a lot of things in perspective. But also, we have to also mention, of course, it might work for other people, no? Pero you have to also consider yung mga bagay na yan na hindi basta-basta makukuha kung yun nga, house and lot. Now, right. So, moving on, just to, how would you say, what would be, well, nadaanan na natin yung condo and kung bakit, ano yung advantage na and disadvantage. Now, I want to talk more about building wealth and legacy, yung idea of using a condo as a business. In your experience, nagkaroon na ba kayo ng real stories of na yung real estate really changed the lives of OFWs?
Oh, plenty. Plenty of.
Sige nga, ma'am. I-share
example
nga
na
yan
lang,
sa amin.
siguro,
Yan.
pandemic.
Yes,
na lang,
pandemic. Yan, maraming story yan.
Maraming story ang pandemic. Siyempre, may mga bansa na because a lot of businesses closed during the pandemic, may mga jobs that were, because it was redundant, some of Filipinos were sent home, particularly in the Middle East. And I re-received messages and calls from our clients saying na buti na lang I was able to invest. Because we were able to survive those difficult times because people were renting from us.
Yun.
So marami yun. It's not one or two clients, but more than a handful of clients. We were receiving messages, testimonies about how their properties helped them. Some of them sold it.
Yeah.
And they were able to get cash from it and use that cash to survive the 1 or 2 years na wala silang trabaho. Most of them are back in the Middle East for continue on with their jobs. Pero that gap between when they were sent home, the time na bumalik ulit sila to work, their real estate invested helped them, whether through rentals or through selling the property. Siguro hindi na ako lalayo. Doon na talaga yun. Yun na talaga ang
Yun na talaga
ang
yung pandemic talaga, no?
nakakataba ng puso when you hear your clients give you a testimony of the good things that have happened to them because of their purchase.
Galing. So talagang meron,
Yes.
Meron talagang positive thing. Kasi I think there has been always, siguro, sabi mo nga kasi kanina nung una pa, meron iba-iba rin yung practices eh. And some people might, like, I think we've had a chat about this na selling properties nowadays, it's a different game. Hindi na yung katulad na, may binibenta ako, punta ka. It's more about understanding value na. So yung mga OFWs din ngayon, nag-upgrade na, discerning na, ano ba yan? Pero, so, it's important to hear and understand the stories kasi then they could relate it to their own experiences. So napakaganda. So, right. So, what's the outlook siguro? Let's go on future trends. Ano yung outlook ng Philippine real estate in the next 5 to 10 years? Kasi andun na nga, ang pinakauso ngayon, yung oversupply. Pero what people don't realize is that there are still a lot of developers selling. So what's that all about? What's the outlook in the next 5 to 10 years?
I don't think na real estate in the Philippines will ever slow down. Not in the near future, at the very least, because there are studies that there's data that spells out success for the Philippine real estate market. Kasi sa atin versus our Asian neighbors, our price per square meter is I think second in terms of price, second from the cheapest.
Oh, really? I'm surprised.
Pero ang rental yield natin is second from the highest.
Oh.
Because if you talk about countries like Singapore, Hong Kong, Japan, ang price per square niyan is between siguro 800 to 1 million pesos per square meter. Whereas
sa isang paso.
Grabe, 'di ba? Ang mahal.
Grabe.
Whereas sa atin nasa mga siguro mataas na ngayon ng 400 to 500 mga premier properties na yun.
Right.
But you can go lower.
Oh, wow.
150, 200, 250 per square. Sa atin, I could confidently say you can buy low and rent high sa Pilipinas. And that's where I'm coming from. Kung bakit ko nasasabing I don't see the real estate market slowing down in the next 5 to 10 years.
That's right.
Because of this data, of this study, which has been proven over, a number of years before. No? And now kasi, in real estate, we are kasi ang real estate kasi may cycle.
Yes.
So we are now in that part of the cycle wherein we are in the buyer's market.
All right. So
Nasa buyer's market tayo ngayon.
Now is the time to
Kung
invest.
may pera ka at kung may plano ka, ngayon na.
Okay.
Yun na talaga yun.
Mauutangan ko dyan.
Yun talaga yun. Pag sinasabi namin sa clients namin, Sir, ma'am, kung may pera ka at may plano ka naman, ngayon na. Kasi this is the time wherein the developers are giving away very generous discounts, flexible terms. Meron kaming lease to own, like in Robinson's Land, we are offering lease to own terms, which I have never, ever in my entire 20 years have offered in my entire
life. Ngayon ko lang
life.
narinig yun, to be honest, no? Lease to own. Sabi ko parang, meron palang
That's
ganun.
120 months of zero interest.
Zero
So
interest.
instead of mag-bank loan ka, just take a lease to own arrangement. 120 years, wala kang interest.
120 months.
Ay,
Kasi
sorry,
120
120 months, correct. Thank you for correcting. Yung 120 months, zero interest.
Yun. Oh, ganda, no? Oh, amazing. So, talking about that, yung ano-ano yung trends and innovations ng RLC? Kasi what I like about RLC is that they have, you guys have helped us 2 years running na with our community sa Filipino-UK nurses. So, they're close to my heart. But I have to be honest, no, wala akong condo property. Meron pa akong takot doon sa sa previous experience ko. But this is certainly opening my eyes. But can you tell us about any innovations or yung kakaiba nga, starting with you na nga, nabanggit mo na yung lease to own?
Correct. Oo. Tapos with RLC kasi, you can, marami kasi kaming offerings. So our project, in terms of our project offerings, it's really full line. From those who are aspiring from a house and lot, meron tayo yan. Meron tayong house and lot in certain parts of the Philippines. Meron tayong entry-level condominium properties. Meron tayong mid-range. Meron din tayong premier condominium developments wherein ang presyo is 150 million.
Wow.
So, walang tapon yan. Anong kailangan? Meron po tayo. Meron kami sa RLC. All you have to do is to consult a property specialist so that they can match a property for you kung ano yung need mo. Pero I still stick by my opinion or comment na kapag, if you are not living in the Philippines, condo tayo. Kasi I've seen so many success stories of those who invested in a condo. So that's one. We have a full line of properties from house and lot to premier properties. Number 2, we have township developments. Iba kasi pag nag-invest ka sa township because you're not just investing in your building or your apartment, you're investing in the community. Normally, ang township is it's a sustainable community, self-sufficient. You have a office component, you have a commercial component, you have a residential component. So hindi ka nalalabas, ando na lahat. Parang ano siya, parang mga BGC is a township. Okay. Eastwood is a township. Rockwell is a township. So CRLC has township offerings as well.
Right.
So our township is Bridgetown, which is in both Quezon City and Pasig. It covers two cities. It's not just a township; it's a landmark destination because we have an iconic landmark that symbolizes the Filipino champion, which we call the Victor.
Oh yeah, yung giant na ano.
Yes.
Yes.
So ang gusto sana namin is ang Bridgetown is parang pwede mong masabing isa siyang landmark, parang Statue of Liberty, wherein pinupuntahan siya because it's something that's iconic. It's not just a township with residential properties or commercial components, but also a place for people to drop by and converge, take photos, ganyan. Similar to our landmark.
Galing.
So we have that. We have Sierra Valley Gardens, so that's also a township development, and so much more in the pipeline.
Ang ganda. Hindi na lang pala no. I guess that's also the innovation there, no. Nagmo-move na from dati vertical tapos nag-offering ng horizontal and then community na.
Now we're building communities.
Ganda.
Siguro what's also unique to RLC is that we hand over our properties na may smart home.
Oh,
very
right.
unique yun to RLC. Kung may gumaya man ngayon, nauna kami.
Ayun, may smart home. Wow, into the future na talaga.
Smart home. We're smart home ready ang mga properties namin. But the price you pay for, pareho lang ng ibang developers. Very competitive.
Very competitive. Nice. So nandito na tayo sa ating closing part, no, Ms. Edessa. So, any message for our kababayans na OFWs, no, na they're dreaming of owning, their own home, or maybe they're looking to invest? Anong masasabi mo sa kanila? Anong message mo?
Siguro in close, I could say this, no, that the most challenging part in a real estate investment is committing to this thing. That's the most challenging part. It's the fear of commitment. Because this is long term.
Yun.
It's not really so much about the market analysis or financial risk or if it's the perfect location or the perfect project. It's not really that. Kasi we're here naman to help you with all of that, to match you. It's really about saying, yes, I commit to this amount. I commit to investing this amount. Sabi ko nga sa clients ko you know what po, ma'am, with your income, you save some. Of course, you give some. You invest some of it also.
Yun.
So, iparti mo. Huwag lahat bigay, huwag lahat gastos. Mag-iwan ka para sa investment. Because your investment, you may not see the fruits of it now. You will definitely see the fruits of it 10 to 20 years down the line. Pagkatapos ng lahat. Pagkatapos sa mga bayarin mo.
Oo.
So, it's really the commitment that's the most challenging part. And the starting it now. Sometimes you overthink
Yes.
Diba? It's hard to start. Parang,
Analysis paralysis.
Yes, analysis
Hindi ka
paralysis.
makagalaw.
We overthink our purchase. But at the end of the day, ano bang kailangan mo isipin? Kaya ko bang maglabas ng 20,000? Kaya ko bang maglabas ng 25,000? Gano'ng katagal ko kaya maglabas ng 20 to 25,000? I think that's all you need to think about. How much you can spare for investment every month and kung ano yung project na maimamatch sa'yo ng property specialist mo. Ako, I always tell my clients na, ma'am, sir, you start now while you are still financially, I could say, physically and emotionally capable. Kasi kailan pa? Pag 50 ka na, kunti na lang, retire ka na. So habang may wiggle room ka pa, mistakes, may wiggle room ka pa magkaroon ng not just one, but 2 or 3 investments. Diba? Start now. And while you're earning a currency that's, here in the UK, 78 times more powerful than the Philippine peso. You guys are lucky because ganun ang scenario nyo. Kami sa Pilipinas, 1:1 eh. 1:1 eh. There are many, there are many who aspire to work abroad. So, the advocacy here is, let's make it worthwhile. Don't go back home empty-handed. So, that's the message at the end of the day. And a way to do that, the way for you to know that you have built something for yourself is to have a home. May it be for investment or for personal use or for whatever purpose. Pero dapat meron.
To have a home that works for you. Ganda na.
Ideally, yes.
Ganda.
A home that works for you. Correct.
Ganda. So lastly, ito na yung pinaka-last na tanong natin, Ms. Edessa. So I ask our guests, what does the term manifesting sound to you or mean to you? Kasi ito, ang common theme namin dito is we did manifesting specifically for Filipinos, for Filipinos abroad. Kasi ang nagre-resonate sa akin dito is yung malayo na pero malayo pa. Di ba? Kasi nandito nga kami sa abroad pero that doesn't solve everything. Malayo pa rin yung tatakbuhin namin. Correct. So, manifesting, what does that mean to you? At
the end of the day kasi, money is important. That's why we work, di ba? It's a tool we use to take care of our families, di ba? It's a tool that we use to improve ourselves. We need money. At the end of the day, it's what we need. Ang kailangan lang natin is planuhin natin kung paano tayo kikita at paano natin gagastusin yung kinita natin. And a part of that should always be our mindset. There has to be a positive mindset or a positive
approach.
A positive approach to how we make and spend money. So apart from planning, you have to take action.
Yes.
Also, when you plan, when you plan it, you also make sure that you commit to doing what you have planned. Kasi all of these things will not come to pass if it's all in our head. If it's just inspirational. Everything has to be put into action. And tayo, while we are still physically capable, when we can still afford it and we are still financially capable, kailangan, kung ano yung planuhin natin, magagawa natin. So I think that's what manifesting is in my own personal take of what it is.
Maraming salamat, Ms. Edessa.
Thank you also for having us.
Of course. My pleasure. Thank you, pa. So if you're interested in any properties back home, lalo na yung mga condominium units, and if you find this discussion very helpful to you, you want to meet Ms. Edessa and her team, just drop us a message and we'll gladly connect you. Itong podcast natin to, hindi mangyayari kung wala tayong tulong sa napakaraming tao. Kaya mag-uumpisa ako magpasalamat sa ating executive producer na si Miss Faye Santa Ana Corpus. Also, our intro music is care of the artist known as Si Lelar. Based siya sa Philippines. At of course, kayo mga listeners natin, maraming salamat sa suporta.